Hey, just finishing off an episode, a long one, so I thought I'd upload a short version of it. The only way that this conspiracy theory is humanly possible is if time machines actually exist in reality, and that people were taken backwards and forwards back in time to 1955 or beyond in a DeLorean or a phone box like Bill and Ted. Either way will work. Choose your own time machine. It's the only way for this conspiracy theory to be true. So just giving you a heads up, this is the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's just wow. Before we start, King James was published 1611 by putting together minuscule 1, 1RK, 2E, 2AP, 4AP, 7P, 817. If you want, you can go to Wikipedia and look at them all and do stuff about them, post them on your wall, whatever. So this is what Erasmus used for his Greek New Testament, which became the King James Bible. That was 1611. After the 1611, something happened. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, the discovery of hundreds of papyrus. And now that I'm learning more, there's this discovery of Syriac manuscripts and manuscripts in other languages that they didn't know about before being discovered. So 1611, you got a Bible. It's set in 1611 English. We update it. We add the extra manuscripts. We add whatever we find in the new discoveries. That's the answer to her question. But Gail's not going to answer her question. Gail's not going to answer her question. This is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I don't know. She's going to go on some bizarre tangent and not even answer the question. I washed my hair so my headphones are all slippery. Give me the keyboard back. Here we go. So,
Sandra, our producer, came out and she asked a good question, and people are asking back there. How do you know that these words were not added to the King James when it?
Because they weren't discovered until 1952 for the papyrus, Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947. That's well after 1611 AD. If you do mathematics, it's easy to figure out. But we don't want to do mathematics. We want to do this instead.
Was translated. I mean, okay. What makes you think the King James was so perfect?
Right. That's an excellent question. That's a question that many people have, so I'm glad you've asked that. And it takes us back to the history of the Greek text. As you know, the original autographs were originally written in Greek. And
nobody knows that, Gail. We don't have them. The original autographs would have been written in this language here, the Syriac Aramaic. And there are no autographs because they don't exist. They were lost. The only way to recover them, again, get a time machine, go back, grab the originals. Maybe she's got them stored in her cupboard somewhere.
Today we have 5,300 manuscripts.
In the Greek language, not the Aramaic language.
Extant that attest to what is in the New Testament. What should we believe? Is it, God manifest in the flesh, or is it He who is manifest in the flesh? Okay, of the 5,000 manuscripts, 99 and 4400% agree with each other.
No two manuscripts agree with each other. Good night. There's 5,300 manuscripts in the Greek language. There's a whole industry called textual criticism, and it's their job to look at all the errors and mistakes in these manuscripts and deciding what the original reading would have been by saying if there's 3 that's spelt this way and 2 that's spelt that way, then we'll go with the 3. Simple mathematics. But 1 and 1 is 5 in this world.
And this is how the Lord would have it be, isn't it? In the book of Acts, he said the word of God multiply, And this 99 and 4400% agrees with the fuller King James text, okay?
So this is time travel. The manuscripts and Dead Sea Scrolls and everything else, the codices, discovered after 1611, somebody grabbed them from 1947 and 1952, took them back to 1610 and gave them to Erasmus. That's what she just said. Somebody travelled back in time and gave these to Erasmus. I want to know where the time machine is. I want to know who built it. Can you please, Gail, give me a citation to where the time machine is talked about in history?
And so the only manuscripts that don't agree with that, these truncated manuscripts.
The
fuller text. In other words,
what she means is, in her conspiracy theory, 64,000 words were removed by the modern versions. In reality, these manuscripts were bloated with 64,000 extra words that don't appear. See, 12th century, 15th century. These words don't appear before the 12th century in any manuscripts discovered. Therefore, they weren't in the earliest manuscripts. Therefore, they're not in the early Bible. Therefore, we don't put them in our updated post-1611 Bibles, Gail.
64,000 missing words in the
They're not missing, they were added.
NIV are because they were translated from different manuscripts.
Okay.
Okay. Let me explain a little bit more about that. Now,
you're going to try and explain something? This is going to be fun.
There's so many questions I want to ask, and I'm sure a lot of them are...
He said, quote, referring to great majority to one for important verses. This was a text in the Museum. They collate the Church Father. 1981. It held the... let me read a quote from the director of the British Museum. Okay. He said, quote, referring to that 99% that agree with the King James.
They don't agree with the King James. So he would have never said it. This is bizarre. So, okay, he would never have said it, or if he did, he was talking about something else.
Having this fuller reading with the 64,000 words in it, okay? He said, this is the text found in the great majority of manuscripts.
So these 12th to 15th century manuscripts that Erasmus used in 1512 were put into a time machine and sent back to the 1st century AD. Can you just send manuscripts back in time, or does somebody have to be there to stop the machine? I don't know. I need answers. I need answers.
Until 1881, it held the field as the text in practically universal use.
Well, he wouldn't have said that. So these manuscripts that were in the Vatican Library somehow flew around the world, scattered in different times and different places around the world. Wow. Oh my.
And so when they collate at the British Museum, they collate the Church Father.
The British Museum do not collate manuscripts. That's the job of a textual critic, Gail. Oh my God.
There are 87,000 citations from the Church Fathers.
The citations of the Church Fathers are not used in the translations of the Greek New Testament. Please try and tell a fact. Just one fact and I'll quit. One fact and I'll quit.
They agree with the King James Version.
No, they don't, because I've already answered that.
2-to-1 and 3-to-1 for important verses. And so throughout the history of the text, with the King James Version, they collate the Church Fathers. There are 87,000 citations from the Church Fathers.
So she's saying the lectionaries and the commentaries and everything written by Augustine, etc., Clement, etc., agree with the King James reading, even though they were paraphrased. No. Just no. Just no. No.
They agree with the King James Version.
No, they don't.
2-to-1 and 3-to-1 for important verses.
No, they don't.
And so throughout the history of the text, all of the Greek manuscripts that we have, almost all of them, agree with this fuller text, with these fuller readings. Okay, now what happened in 1881? You know, this was a text in universal use, not just in Greece, but...
So... can't, Gail. I'm sorry, my brain just broke.
This was a text in universal use, not just
Text in universal use. The 12th to 15th century manuscripts were in universal use around the planet for 2,000 years, as she's claiming. Time travel. Time travel's the only answer. The manuscripts. Oh, fucking, I can't. The Latin Vulgate was the universal text, not the Textus Receptus. None of these manuscripts. Sorry, you lose. What are we on? Minus 20, Gail?
in Greece, but in Syria, all over Europe,
No, that's Syriac language. They have their own Aramaic Bible. There's Samaritan Pentateuch. Do you even do any research? This is flat earth levels of stupid.
This was a text in universal use, not just in Greece, but in Syria, all over Europe, the Celtic Bible, all the versions that have been translated, the Italian.
They would have been translated from the Vulgate. Jerome's Latin Vulgate, Gail.
Bible, the Hungarian Bible, the French Olivetan Bible, the Spanish Valera Bible.
I hate to burst your bubble, but the new editions in those languages would be coming from Nestle Aland's 28th edition of the Greek New Testament. Should I even be telling facts? I mean, maybe I should just devote my life to
The Russian Great Bible, all of these Bibles, Luther's German Bible,
And she goes on to say in the future, after this TV show, that she could read Hungarian, Spanish, French, etc., and obviously the Greek, Coptic, Syriac, etc., that she doesn't read.
all throughout history have agreed with this fuller King James type of text. Okay, now
They couldn't have, because they had 64,000 missing words. 64,000 missing.
1881, two gentlemen, Westcott and Hort.
Poor brain.
Okay,
Westcott and Hort. Okay, sorry.
James type of text. Okay, now in 1881, two gentlemen, Westcott and Hort.
Westcott and Hort updated Erasmus's 1512 New Testament Greek with the extra manuscripts that were discovered, but this is still 1881. So all Westcott and Hort did was lay the groundwork for today's Metzger, Aland, Nestle, Greek New Testament. So every year it's updated, revised. So every year since 1881, well, every 10 years and then 5 years, and now it's like every 3 years, whatever. It gets updated because new manuscripts are discovered. There's still new stuff being discovered. It's an amazing field of research. It really is, but yeah. So what was she saying?
Now in 1881, two gentlemen, Westcott and Hort.
Updated Erasmus's Greek New Testament, okay. By the way, they devoted their whole lives to doing that. They're amazing in my eyes. My hat off to these guys. Wow, what a feat.
Okay, who were
two guys created. Well, Erasmus was one guy that did it. Yeah, but it took years and years and years. Wow.
spiritualists. Now, okay, two gentlemen, Westcott and Hort, okay, who were spiritualists.
They weren't spiritualists, Gail. They started up a thing called the Ghostly Guild, where they invested paranormal activity, and they came to the conclusion that there was nothing in it. What they were trying to do is academically prove the spirit realm, and they failed, so they gave up. Got nothing to do with going to Anton LaVey's church in 1969. There's a time machine theory that they travelled from 1881 to 1969 to have some wine. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. That theory is wrong, Gail. Minus 21.
Now, the average Christian or the average theologian has really never gone back into the...
An 8-year-old child using Wikipedia knows more about this stuff than you do, Miss Not Professor of Nothing.
history of these people. As a matter of fact, someone who interviewed me on a radio know about Westcott. It isn't that these people sat down and said, yes, let's get a Greek committee. Okay, he written by spiritualists. People really haven't gone back into the lives of these people and explored and found the things I found. So I don't really blame them. It isn't that these people sat down and said, yes, let's get a Greek text written by spiritualists.
I weren't spiritualists.
I don't believe these men did this. As a matter of fact, let me quickly read a quote to you from Dr. Frank Law. This was the Lord. Sense that something.
Nobody can find this quote, so I'm just going to skip it. It probably only exists in your imagination.
This version is tape recording.
Super
Speak
60s,
at our church.
in the caliber of Lugston.
That's just saying, thou art the Christ. Peter said in the book of Acts that when it said something wrong.
Have I broken
Peter
it?
took that rebuke. He was humble enough and fallible.
Ask them a question, and they'll say, Herman, answer for everything. In years